Guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to part 2 of the Klingon Bird of Prey from Star Trek Generations build. So, got a lot done. I'm sorry I wasn't completely ready. I should have actually had more of this stuff here in sight. So, hang on a second here. There we go. Okay, now we're set. Okay, so let's start with the wings. So I was able to use my micro drill and kind of go at an angle from the inside, from the hole here for the head, I call them headlights or wing lights. I went up at an angle so it punctured up through, and I was able to slide 2 fiber optics down inside or outside right here like that. Now, instead of running the light to the inside of the ship, I had enough space in here to do a 3mm white, and the wing will still close without a problem. Show you. I did a little notch out there for the wiring. I kind of figured I had enough space in there to do this. There it goes. See? The wing closes just fine all the way around. You see a little bit of black. That's actually just the inside paint for light blocking. So the wings fit just fine like that. There's more than enough room in there to put a small a small 3mm LED and run the fiber optics through it. I'm just double checking to make sure that I'm good. These wings do not like to really go together all that great. I hope I put my glasses on. That's part of my problem. Thomas, get out of there. My cat is being a typical child and getting into everything. Interesting. That was taken off. One of the guide pins is missing. No big deal. So yeah. Like I said, not a problem. So that takes care of the lights on the wings. Now, as far as these pieces underneath, that they go right here along this section, like that. I went ahead and I cut those out using my drill bit, and I just kind of refined the edges a little bit, and to get it to the glow, which I don't have anything really that won't blind the heck out of you to light up to show you, but you can kind of see just in the it is coming through a little bit red. Thomas, get in. Sorry, my cat is like getting into everything right now. What I basically did was I took some of my my usual technique. I used some of my milk carton plastic that I have tons of. Anytime I get any kind of milk carton plastic, I cut it up and use it and hold on to it. And I put a piece in to fit around the hole, and I used canopy glue to seal it in, and I just took some Tamiya clear red. And I just took a toothpick and just dabbed it on so it was nice and even. I tend to use the toothpick just to drip it on because it makes more of an even coat. So when it shines through, it's more even. So those are done. They came out really good. The major part that I had to do some serious reconstruction on are the guns, which, as everybody knows, the guns suck. So for starters, on this one, on these parts right here, the outer or the inner, I'm sorry, these are the inner part of the guns. When you put these things together, you can clearly see that it's open, totally opened up. So just on this part right here on the front, I just put some styrene plastic and I just I sanded it, I rounded it and flushed it out. So when it goes together, you can't see any kind of opening. In fact, it looks pretty much seamless. I may have actually already gone over this in another video. I don't quite remember, but you can see, it's pretty solid. The one thing I'm definitely sure I did not touch base on was the scratch-built guns. So on these guns, I did, number one, as you see, I did a lot of cleanup. I took away any flash. I modified the barrels to be correct. The way these barrels come, it's not correct by a long shot. I don't really know if I showed you also, but I did drill the holes out for the guns there. So the tips of these guns were totally incorrect. They have like this little point that comes out from this one right here, the top gun. I just cut that down flush. I used the box art as a kind of as a template, and I was able to drill very, very carefully, mind you, drill down in both. It's not going to show that little bottom one, but it's got a hole in it. But I was able to drill that out to form a barrel. The other thing I did was it came with a molded in gun barrel right here on the inside. Well, I didn't like that molded in gun barrel. It was really tacky and just did not look good. So as you can see, I cut that out and I scratch built my own. I didn't have any brass rod, but I did have a bunch of tubing. The plastic tube from Evergreen. And I found some sizes that fit into each other. And then very carefully, I cut out a the nozzle for the barrel and the barrel itself, sorry, the muzzle, and I made that. And now instead of being molded in, you can clearly see a separation and a separate gun. So now you have the three. I did it on both sides, and in general, I think it came out really, really good. So now you can clearly see a definition of another gun that's not molded in plastic. I wasn't going to do that at first, but I kept looking at it and it kept bothering me, and I kept thinking, you know, this really looks bad. I can't let this go. So I had to do it, and I did both sides. Both sides came out fine. Let's see, where else what am I at here now? Look at my time, 8 minutes, not too bad in. So on the back engine, this took me forever, by the way, but I'm going to try to, I don't want to take any paint off, but as you can see, I have painted all the metal framework on the outside. Now this was far from easy to do. What I ended up having to do, and this, it works, you need a brand new Sharpie marker to do this, but I took a Sharpie, and aside from the top and bottom, or bottom and top piece here, I took my marker and outlined all this up in the end here. So I had a guide to go by. Once I was outlined, I took my Vallejo, it's metallic black, really thick stuff. I'm not a big fan of Vallejo paints for airbrushing, but I love them for brush painting because they cover really well. So I took some of that in a cap and I just went over about 3 or 4 coats over all the lines that I had drawn, and over this part here and the part underneath several times until there was no light leak. Now I easily found that out because I have a light mat that I put this on like this, the whole bottom lights up, and I was touching up places that I could see when the light was on, so I was able to knock out all the light bleed. Now it's not done yet because it's final coat, and this is not going with what the directions say. The directions call for steel. The only steel I have, it does not look good. I don't know. It doesn't seem Klingon to me. When I think of Klingon ship, I think of dark colors like gunmetal and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I got two types of it. I've got some gunmetal Vallejo that I'm going to put on. That's going to be the final coat in gunmetal. And I also have the AKA Extreme Metal. Now what I'm doing is kind of a two-part thing. It maybe is a waste of time, I don't know. But it did well on my Photon Launcher, which I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to put the coat of this on, and then once that dries, I'm going to lightly go over it with the AKA Extreme Metal. This will give it its final coat of gunmetal, and this gunmetal looks really good. Very expensive paints, by the way, so if you get them, use them sparingly, because they are pricey. I think I paid about $14 for this bottle. Not something I like to do too often. Let's see, let me put these colors aside there. So that is going to cover that. Now as far as the the clear sections go, is I have clear yellow, clear red, which I will be putting in the assigned areas. Oh, and also I did actually go through and I frosted the glass, so it's a little diffused. I just used a sanding sponge, a brand new one, to get in there and sand it down, and then some sandpaper. Excuse me. Excuse me. See, today's pollen count is up really high because it's actually a nice sunny day today, and we've been having rain a lot, so the pollen's really up, and it's playing hell with my allergies. Let's see. So that's the engine. Now, as far as the body goes, I'm doing a very minimal amount of lighting here and wiring, to be honest. So in the upper hull, I have all the windows drilled out. And I've got the fiber optics run through all my areas where I'm going to have light at. All these are white lights except for this one back here. Now, I know this is supposed to be white, but I was getting tired of seeing white fiber optic lights. So I just I wanted to change, and I wired up a separate red SMD or LED. So this one is red, and the rest of these are all white. So, and as you can see, the wiring is very minimal. Not a lot going on. I've got some acetone, took some acetone and cleaned off all the mating edges here. So when the plastic goes on, it goes plastic to plastic. The lower section, a little more. So in the lower section, I have a light up here for the head, and I also got the head attached. Now the way I got this thing attached to be even is I put everything together like so, and then, well, I put this part was separate, so I put this part onto the head, and then I slid this part in and lined it up and glued it, and then once it dried, I just pulled it apart and it left it in that orientation. So that's how I got it to be straight. And I also, as you can see, I cut, this is all one solid piece right in here. I cut all that away so I could have easy pass through for my wiring. So I have a light here in the head. I also have a light going into the photon torpedo emitter. Just using a piece of styrene and some tube, fit just fine. And then of course I got the rest of the fiber optics run. I got one for under here, one for here, and two for back here. And they're all wired in just like this, same way. This was a snafu earlier today. This whole thing came apart on me, so I had to actually put some new shrink wrapping on it to get it to work, but it worked. Last thing on the body, as far as the engine assembly goes, for lighting it, I wanted to go with some flickering LEDs, but I didn't have any white flickering, and I didn't want to use an orange flickering because I was afraid it might change the color. The color that I'm putting on to the lens here, which I'm not 100% sure about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this lens like I'm supposed to, and I've got some orange flickering lights. I'm going to get one wired up, and I'm going to put it in back, and I'm going to see exactly if that changes the colors at all. And if it doesn't, then I will go take this out and replace it with the LEDs. Good thing is I got plenty of room for that. For right now, what I have is a bright white strip of LED strip tape, just a 3-section, and again my milk carton plastic with some liquid smoke to dim it out, because I don't want this thing super bright. It wasn't really bright in the movie. It was minimal. I mean, it was bright, but it wasn't glaringly bright, and I really wanted to tone it down. So the best way I found was using this to do it. Now the nice thing is, if I find that this is too dark or too dim, it's not a problem, because this is the last thing to go onto the ship. So I could go in there and clean that up, or take that smoke off, and not a problem. The last thing I want to show, and this is going to be very hard for anyone to see because it's so tiny, but there we go. So if you can see that, there's the photon emitter, or photon torpedo launcher itself. I have got the outside frame done in gunmetal, and I've got red, a little bit of red paint dropped in all those little holes, which, mind you, was not easy to do. And in the middle, it's green. Now, the reason why I'm going with green is because I looked at a bunch of screen grabs, and everyone I saw showed either a cap on the launcher, or the launcher in the middle green, and the outside, the skirt around it, was red. So that's what I'm going to do with that, is I'm going to put the green in there, and if it's not enough, if that green is not enough, which actually I don't think it will be, I'm going to go back in with one more bout of it to make it a little bit darker. But I did hold this up to the light, and that red coming through, it's just fantastic. It looks really good. Painting the frame was all done by hand. All I can say is, thank God for these things. Otherwise, I could not have done it. So I had these things on, and I just slowly, methodically hand-painted this entire thing and all the framework. It's not perfect by a long shot, but it looks good. Aside from adding some more green, I think we're good to go. So, that's kind of where I'm at for right now. I don't want this video to go on too terribly long. I think 20 minutes may be a little bit too long anyway, but I had a lot to share. So, I'm at the point now where I'm just tying up some loose ends. I'm going to clean up the Photon torpedo launcher, or emitter. I'm going to get to work on painting the engine assembly, the clear colors, and then I'm going to hook up an orange flash or flickering as it does. Other than that, that's about it. And again, I will be doing this in the attack position. So, other than that, I don't have anything else to share. So, I'm going to end this video here now so I can get back to work on this kit. So I want to get it done as soon as possible. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank all my subscribers, all my new subscribers. I hope you guys are enjoying this build series, but I'm having a lot of fun building this model. It's, you know, despite its drawbacks, again, because it's an old model, I'm still having a lot of fun with this kit. So I think it's going to turn out really good. I can't wait till it's finished. And I'm happy that you guys are coming along with me on the journey. So thanks again for watching. Especially if you stayed around to the very end of the video, I really appreciate that. If you could do me a big favor, if you can crush that like button for me and leave a comment, that'd be great. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. I know for some of us it's a 3-day weekend because, of course, of the holiday on Friday, which for me, I have a 3-day weekend, so I'm happy. But anyway, hope everyone's having a great weekend, and until my next video update, you guys take care and have a great day.